And this is something for anybody who's interested in getting into this. If you are interested in remote viewing and interested in remote viewing weird stuff, get some practice before you do UFO woo-woo stuff, or you're going to get some jump scares and maybe some hitchhiker stuff going on. Energetic protection is important when you're doing this kind of stuff, when you're doing so with remote viewing, time doesn't matter. Like you can remote view Mars a million years ago, you can remote view
a million years from now,
or a million years from now. You can remote view the magazine that's coming out next month, which I did a few weeks ago. You know, time doesn't matter. Like
spin-off of Skinwalker Ranch. So the episode with Chris Bledsoe, he was sinking his own brain into the data in Delta, and he was calling in these orbs. So, and it was the same type of it was the same type of thing where it was almost like when he was channeling these orbs, because then orbs started appearing, his brain was in what you could only describe as career meditator.
This place that I'm at is unique and not something that I'm going to be able to recreate. Like the feeling that like, no, these aren't the Egyptian pyramids, it wasn't the Great Pyramid, anything like that. I knew it was some kind of different pyramid, but I guess I just didn't have the vocabulary or the knowledge to. But when I connected to that aspect of it, the Tic Tac itself, I didn't get that there was anything alive, like no biologicals present within it. I did get the sense that it was. I think the wording I wrote was that it was like an AI sentient drone.
All right, and we're back to Total Disclosure, the podcast. Today we're here with remote viewer, intuition teacher, musician, Josh Maitland. I'm so happy to have you on, man. It's been a quite a time in the making, but here we are, ready to do it.
Right on. Thanks for having me, dude. I apologize in advance. I got some dogs here that are
we're
barking in the background, but
don't worry, we can't even
hear
hear
mail delivery or something.
So trust me, I deal with that all the time. Got a dog of my own. He's just not here with me today. So again, I feel the bond. But so it sparked my interest, not just remote viewing from you, but you took remote viewing and you kind of made it. Well, let's not. You don't do like your standard remote viewing. You've taken the process that the government and other entities created, and now you're doing somewhat of like what I think you called it, like cowboy RV, right? Something to that effect. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. But can you explain, first off, what remote viewing is? Second, what and how you got into the process, and we'll get into how your style is different.
Yeah, sure. I mean, cowboy is actually its own kind of style of RV. A couple of my buddies actually invented the cowboy method, as it's called. But yeah, we'll get into that part later. So for those who don't know, remote viewing is a structured methodology for acquiring non-local information. So if and sorry to go right into quantum physics and stuff here right away, but by nature, information, is we can entangle with it through certain faculties that everybody has. So your intuitive operating system, I guess you could call it, which consists of effectively the heart, the brain, and the gut, which is why people say trust your gut, right? Mm-hmm. And so remote viewing itself is, as you mentioned, it was developed with funding from the U.S. government at SRI International was the laboratory by Hal Puthoff, Russell Targ, Ingo Swann, and a whole bunch of others too. Effectively, they developed this method of tapping into both your intuitive mind and your logical mind at the same time, and leveraging kind of one against the other to get this non-local information. And in any given remote viewing session, you have a target. You're blind to that target. If you're not blind, then it's not considered remote viewing. Just in terms of the protocol that was developed by Ingo and SRI. So remote viewing is actually a very specific subset of psychic ability, generally speaking. So,
But with that being
it's effective.
said, but with that being said, it is a psychic ability.
Yeah, it's a methodology for leveraging psychic abilities. So, there's channeling and mediumship and all these other kinds of things that are out there too. And remote viewing, it kind of works on the same operating system as all of these other types of psychic connection.
Right.
But the thing that's unique about it really is the methodology, the process that you go through. So it starts off, you're given a blind target, and once you have that blind target, you're given a number. Essentially, the number represents whatever your target happens to be. So for example, I actually did a session the other day where my target was the cover of a magazine that a buddy of mine works for, and I got all this stuff about plant life and swamplands and stuff, and it ended up being this flower, this orchid flower. So,
oh no
it's
way!
yeah, and that was just like a fun session I was doing to kind of trip out my buddy and see if I
That's
could nail the target. So I was like, yeah, it's something about. I think I wrote the word orchard, whereas it's an orchid, but I'm not a plant.
right. But
I'm
so
not a
that's
plant expert or anything. So
yeah, but it's up to the and that's where I think what the government was doing is I mean, not to say it's a I guess it's more it has more validity to it, right? Than
yeah,
if you weren't blind, or if you if
yeah,
because the person, from what I understand about remote viewing, is the person that's remote viewing, right? There's also an observer or someone giving the target,
yeah.
right?
The tasker,
And
that would be called.
it's up to them to decipher, right? Like if you wrote orchard and it's an orchid, right?
Yeah.
They would be able to put that together and be like, okay, there it is, right? Like that's
Hmm.
their job. That's their part. Your part is just what you did, is
Yeah.
get all the information onto the page, and then what
As
you're
the
supposed to give
viewer,
it to
yeah.
someone, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And I mean, I'm just like my own guy. So I'm usually tasking myself unless I'm jamming on a project with somebody else. But
Right.
for the most part, if I'm doing little sessions like this one, just for fun and training kind of thing, I'm setting up my own tasking, and so even though I knew I was so I wasn't fully blind on this target because I knew I was trying to remote view the cover of this magazine. But that's called that's what I call anyway categorical front loading. So it's like you're kind of within some kind of ballpark. So it's like saying
It
the
doesn't give you
target
the
is a
full
location.
picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I mean, the picture on the cover of this magazine could have been literally anything, right? So and
Yeah, there's still an infinite possibility,
mhm,
infinite you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily give you the answer. So I would
mhm,
say that's I'd call it a success. I'd say that would be successful. And I've even talked to you. We're talking about you helping me with the movie that I'm making, and
yeah,
so I mean, of course, like you're not going to be blind when doing so. So
mhm,
it'll be up to the audience and up to the people who are watching to kind of make that decision for themselves if they believe or not. But
totally, yeah,
remote viewing, there is a reason the government funded it, and there's a
yeah.
reason that the government most likely still operates and funds it. So if we can go through a little bit of the history, you mentioned some of the bigger names of remote viewing.
Yeah.
Remote viewing. Why did the government get involved?
So, I mean, this was back in the Cold War era, right? When it all started going down. So I think it was the 70s that SRI really got going
Mhm.
on developing the program, and I think it ran from 1972 to 1995 or 96, something like that. I am not the biggest remote viewing history buff out there. I'm just more of a fan of using it
Hey, don't
and
worry about
playing
it.
with it. But yeah, so I mean, the my understanding from talking to people who know more about the history is that yeah, it was a Cold War thing. The American intelligence was under the impression that Russian intelligence was developing a psychic spy program of their own. So in Cold War fashion, they needed to develop something and make sure that they weren't getting left in the dust. And I think they did have a lot of success with that. The program, if you look through the Stargate archives and all the stuff that was declassified in the 90s, they've got
Yeah.
despite kind of the window dressing that kind of says, oh, it wasn't very successful and that's why we canceled it. Like that's not the case if you actually look at what's there and you talk to some of the people who were involved.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it was very successful. They had something, and I'm quoting this from Joe McMoneagle or somebody, I can't remember exactly, but
Love that
I think
guy.
I think they said it was, oh, he's amazing, he's one of the OGs. But
He is the
yeah,
legit,
like,
like he's the real deal.
oh, totally. I actually ran a target that about Mars that was very, I think it was the same tasking that he ran back in, I want to say the
Oh shit.
80s or something once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
talked
was.
about that
I
on
didn't I
Danny
didn't get
Jones.
anything new or exciting beyond what others have gotten in the past, and that was a
But
blind
hey,
target
hey,
too.
I want to talk about that. But so
Sure.
I just want to mention this. So the Stargate project, this is from the Wikipedia, so take it obviously with a grain of salt, everybody. Um,
Hmm.
Wikipedia's got its issues. So the Stargate project was a secret U.S. Army unit established in '78 at Fort Meade, Maryland. So
78. There you
literally
go.
right by me. And it was by the DIA, which is the
Yep.
Defense Intelligence Agency, and SRI International, which is a California contractor for anyone who doesn't know. So to investigate the potential psychic phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications. It ran until 1991 officially. But again, most people say that they've rechristened the Stargate project and that they've brought it back online
Well,
and it never
yeah,
actually went away.
I think what happened is, and this is again just some hearsay that I've come across from various people that are kind of more involved and more in tune
Oh, no.
with the details. But uh, I mean, there's definitely people who did contract work after that, like into the 2000s,
Oh,
on
absolutely.
counterterrorism and things like that. So I think rather than, I mean, maybe they do have a
They probably
program,
just changed
but
the name of the project, honestly.
yeah,
That's how you do that.
I think it's really, there's no official sanctioning of using psychics now, but I think, and I forget where I heard this one, but it's something to the effect that individual agents are able to gather intelligence in ways that are beneficial to them, and if they're going to use this kind of stuff, they're welcome to use it, but it's not an officially sanctioned kind of thing. It's not done by government staff, I guess you would say. It would all be done through contractors, presumably. I have
Right.
not done any government work.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
But let's so let's talk about some of the so I mean there's been so many stories told like on like even when like Joe McMoneagle, I think he was just on like Danny Jones or um uh the other one, Julian Dory. I don't remember which one. I think it was Danny Jones though. And I mean what they were talking about, I mean, is a program that almost had it was like 99% of a success rate. So I just don't, and I was wrong. It ended actually in 95 officially.
Yeah, that's
They
what I thought. Yeah.
renamed it in 91